What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Strictly Broken here, doing another Strictly Rants for you guys today. This is actually not filmed on Saturday, because my anticipation for Saturday, well, it's gonna be out on Saturday, but y'all know my anticipation for Saturday, because we're hosting WGP on Sunday, because we're gonna be super swamped, is that we wouldn't have time to film this. So I'm gonna film this on a Thursday. It's gonna get uploaded on Saturday, but you guys don't actually need to know that because ignorance is bliss. Anyways, today what I want to talk about is what I like to call comfort ratios versus, what's the word? Versus more practical, more suitable ratios. And what do I mean by that? When I refer to ratios, I refer to specifically like playing 4 times of this card, 3 times of that card, 2 times of this card, 1 time of this card. And there's like many reasons why you would play, for example, 4 of a card. You might want to see it a lot. You might want to open with it. It might be your main end game. It might be your main level 1 combo. And so you play 4 of it because that's the maximum limitation the game allows you to play. If you could play 5 of it, a lot of times you would probably play 5 of these type of cards. Like for example, your level 0 turn 1 play, whether it's a runner or an oversize, which, you know, in the first Strictly Rants I've kind of ranted about, saying that the runner is the superior play at the moment. You would probably, if you could play 5, you would play 5. And I don't think this has ever changed. Now, and then you got something like a counter, like a level 1 counter, where you don't want your hand filled with counters, so you probably don't want to play 4, because if you clock draw 2 and you draw 2 counters, it's kind of awful. And so people tend to lean towards going 2, 3 copies, but then you've got other decks that, you know, they're wall-based, field-based decks. They'll have like 8k bodies on the board, and they really, really want to protect these bodies. And so sometimes if you draw 2 counters, you're happy with that. And so those decks might want to play 4 counters. But the traditional deck, you know, the deck that has the 4 Amelia, for example, probably doesn't want 4 counters, because when you draw 2 counters, you don't really know what to do with those counters for the most part. So yeah, like, ratios satisfy a need. If you need something to happen properly in your deck, you go with those ratios. Comfort ratios, on the other hand, kind of just there's really no explanation for it, but there's like this almost a community-wide agreement that it has to be this case, and it's like completely fallacious and completely grounded in no reason, no playtesting. It's just almost like a community-wide epidemic. And the absolute pinnacle of this example for me was when Waste was a new game in the Western world, even in Japan at the time. There was this perpetuating like thought process and line of thought, and you never saw a single person playing more than 2 copies of a Brainstorm. I mean, those were the good old days. Everyone over here, we all played 2, because in Japan they all played 2. No one really even thought of expanding the horizon. And I'm referring specifically to plussing Brainstorms, like tapped plussing Brainstorms, because spammables, you don't really want to play more than 1 of usually. But yeah, at the time, like, you look at at the time, this is like old Way Shores, so what was big at the time? Madoka, I think Diva just came out, like that little era in English Waste, but then also in JP Waste, when, you know, there was Madoka, there was, what had a plussing Brainstorm at the time? I don't know, Excel World and stuff. You can look in the series, find the ones that have plussing, but you can look at the list, and they really didn't play more than 2. And I don't want to chalk this up and like just throw it into a bin and saying this was a playtest thing at the time, because that's a lame excuse. Because like now we know in 2017 that Brainstorm is almost like, you really want to see your Brainstorm. It's a really good card to have in your hand. And there's like, so in 2017, there's no list that has a good Brainstorm that doesn't want to play at least 3. And like, some ReZero players lean to playing 2 salvage brainstorms, for example. But like, there's a very compelling reason to play 3 even in that list. It's just some play 2, whatever. At the time, 2 brainstorms was like unanimous. People were playing 2. But why? You always wanted to see the card. People who hit their brainstorms had more hand size, were winning the game more, yet people were running 2 copies of this card and it made them open with it less, see it less. You'd have to usually pay 1 different search just to get it when you could. That pay 1 different search could have been the brainstorm because you would always want the brainstorm, and it was really good for your field, but no one played it. Part of it lends to the fact that at the time people didn't see the brainstorm in the back row being a very, like, nowadays brainstorm is the back row, but back then a lot of brainstorms that were tap 2 was like a front row turn play. Not a lot of people thought to leave it in the back as a kind of engine card in the back to kind of generate you consistent pluses every turn. But like, it just happened for way too long. I think if people moved towards 4 brainstorms long ago in the past, or 3 or 4 brainstorms, like, Waste would have been a different game in the past, because in the past, like, Waste games were more fair. There was not too much explosion, but if people just played 4 brainstorms, there would be a lot more explosion. The guy who suddenly hits 2 is just like 2 resources ahead of the opponent, and like, that's just way too strong, and there's no reason not to play a card that is that strong. And so I call that era of playing 2 brainstorms kind of like playing with a comfort type of ratio. It wasn't a very well. It wasn't very logical and grounded in reason. It's just there was a perpetuating sort of stereotype that your deck, if you played with the brainstorm, it was 2. And nowadays, I think there's a lot of comfort ratios that exist. So when you net deck, I think net decking isn't the worst thing, but when you net deck, you are extremely subjected to comfort ratios because you don't know how the deck works. You're just looking at a list, copying it, and playing it. And so when you, for example, use your level 1 combo, a guy might be playing like 3 copies of this level 3 and then 4 copies of that level 3 because he loves to search the 3 copy one, get it in his hand with his level 1 combo, and then just draw the other one naturally, so that's the 3 and 4. But you might feel the other way around. You might want to grab that a 4 copy card more often and draw the 3 copy card more often. And so your ratios need to change. They need to be elastic. They need to be dynamic. But when you just net deck, you're super subjected to these comfort ratios because you're kind of playing in another guy's mentality. His deck is suited to his mentality if he made it, and certain ratios are definitely dependent of what your preference is for your searches. Some people love searching their anti-change counter, and so they'll always have it in their hand after doing their level 1 combo. Some people search the anti-change counter but prefer to see it more organically, and so they play 2 copies of an anti-change counter. And like, what's the big deal? And there's not that much of a big deal. Or like some people, if your set has a salvage combo, and you'd rather grab your anti-change counter at the time of game when your salvage combo is most live, you should probably run 2 to see it more often in the waiting room. But if you're usually searching your anti-change counter off your brainstorm, I'm referring specifically to a deck like Nisekoi that has a salvage combo and a search brainstorm. You might want to only play 1 anti-change counter, because if your preference is to search it off a brainstorm that searches, you'll probably have it in your deck if you just play 1. Stuff like that. Like, these ratios are dynamic. Nothing is fixed. But there's this like perpetuating mentality between like some of the larger content creators that there's something called like a standard. There's no fucking standard. There's certain things. There's very, very, very poor reason not to max out the ratio or to play more copies of. Like, you have to be like really, really convincing to even be able to suggest to me that playing 3 runners is better than 4, because it's very hard. But if you have a very compelling reason, like, sure. But none of these ratios are like fixed. So that's the key here. And once you get into these ideas that these ratios are fixed, you lead other people into like subjecting themselves to these comfort ratios. So in 2017, the top decks, there's some comfort ratios that exist already. Um, for a long time, Milky Holmes played 4 counters. And that was all cool. But then people started thinking, why are we only playing 4? There's a yellow of the same effect. And so a lot of people started playing 5. But I think playing 4 counters was almost like people who made lists would go on their whatever website they used to make lists or whatever program. The first thing they'd put down is the 4 Milky counters and they'd call it a day. But like, you gotta really think about these type of things. How good is the counter in my deck? I want to see it every time I mill. And so I play 5 or even 6. Some people go to 6 because like they just want to see the counter every turn. And I think that's very reasonable. I myself, when I played Milky, I've upped it to 5. And I was playing 4 for the longest time because I got into this like ratio where I was playing this ratio of cards. And by the way, I say 5 because there's a card with the exact same effect. You can't play 5 with a card in the game. Like, I'm subjected to these comfort ratios all the time. And there are things for like aesthetic reasons that I don't play more copies of. For a long time, like, I like to get in these ratios and these ideas that color needs a sort of color balancing. And so people develop these comfort ratios to kind of suit into these color balances. Like if my deck is primarily 2 colors, I want a 21-21 split. And so when I first started playing the game, I was looking for that 21-21 split for a deck that's double colored. Let's use Nisekoi. Let's just use Nisekoi a lot. Nisekoi meta build blue-red at the time. But then, if you like take a step back and think, your primary color at level 1 is red. That's cool. You had less time to kind of shape your hand to prepare for that red game. That's cool. So you maybe want to play like more reds. But then your level 2 combo is blue. And so you have more time to shape your hand, have a solid card you can clock away for that blue. You'll see 2 levels worth of damages, so you can kind of decide more how you want to shape your, how you level your cards. Because you have 2 chances to kind of hit over the damage, so you can kind of see that. And so, in a lot of ways, you can definitely play less blue cards to fit. Even though your deck is double color, you don't want to go for a 21-21 color split. You can definitely go for a 30 red, 12 blue color split, and it would be perfectly fine because your blue is your level 2 color and your red is primarily your level 1 color. So stuff like this, like, you'll get into this comfort ratio. I want 21-21, but it's not grounded in reason. It's kind of grounded in your own comfort. You want to see a 21-21 split because your deck is double colored. For a long time, like, to Love Root players too, it's like, I'll see like 3 counters. I'll see a lot of people play 3 counters into Love Root because, you know, the 2K counter, it's all cool. Your cards are, you have like a 6-5, you have a 6-5 beater, tag game, if you play that card. It makes it 8-5. That's pretty cool. But the counter just doesn't come up a lot because when you play the game, you really just want to hand encore your characters so that you can, because if you counter, right, you kill your opponent's character, and then your Mekon can't reverse if you had another gold bar in hand because you snipe it off on their turn. So you really don't want to be countering a lot. And so I've dropped the counter from like 3 to 2 to 1 to 0. And like right now I'm playing 0 counters and it feels great. It's stuff like this, like for the longest time, counters in my mind had this comfort ratio that made me feel good because everyone wants to play 3 counters, 2 counters-ish. But does your deck need it? Does it fit the game plan well? Not particularly, not that interestingly. So like you can play 1 counter, 0 counters, much better than playing 2 or 3. But yeah, definitely like what I'm just trying to say here with all these examples and all these things is like really think about your deck a little more. Like whether you enjoy this game competitively or casually, I think it's really, really dynamic and really fun to actually like reflect on the number of cards you're playing for these cards. And really ask yourself, lay your deck out, ask yourself, is this a card I always want to see? Alright, then I'm playing 4 of it. Is this a card that, I'm playing 2 of this card right now, but how often am I actually looking for this card? Not that often, already drop it to 1. Take a look at your deck. Think about to yourself, I'm playing 2 of these level 3 killer suiciders right now. Do I really need 2? I'm only using 1, and a lot of times I don't even need it for matchups. Drop it to 1. don't let comfort ratios dictate how your deck is built. Because I can guarantee you, you right now you're blaming your losses on luck. But these small things contribute to positive win rates. So when you get out of comfort ratios and develop a kind of dynamic feel for how your deck's ratios should work. I'm playing 4 because I want to see it. I'm playing 3 because I don't want to see it as much. 2 because, like, you know, I sometimes search it, but it's pretty good in a lot of games. And then 1 because it's like a tech card. Like, if you just develop this sort of thought process to your deck building, oh boy, I can guarantee you your win rate will increase. It might be increased by like 0.5% or some shit, but like, there's no reason that your win rate wouldn't increase, because comfort ratios are what kills a lot of players, whether it's like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon. When you get into this idea that you want to play 3 of this card because you feel like it, and there's no other reason, that's when you're losing. But yeah, that's it. Nothing else to rant about. I'm fucking busy as shit, so I'm gonna sign off. Peace.